For years, my 35 female husband, 37 male, said that if I want stability in my life, I have to make it happen. I did, and now things are worse than ever. Help. Okay, this comes from the r/relationships subreddit, and we have 3 stories with 1 update for the first story, and let's just get straight into it. I'm writing partly to sort all of this out in my head and partly for outside perspectives. I don't even know what to think anymore. Again, I'm happy to explain any details that need fleshing out if it helps. I'll try to be concise, and I truly appreciate you reading this. 9 months ago, I posted asking for help about my frustration with going back to work after my husband burned out in his career, previous post in my history. For the sake of anonymity, I tried to be vague with the details, and many thought our work was on the dodgy side. I don't care about keeping it anonymous. All these factors are relevant. I'm an author, I self-publish books and made a decent living doing it for several years. My husband is a software developer and mainly buys existing online companies and fixes them up to sell. When that's not working, he tries to work a normal 9 to 5, but typically lasts no more than 6 months. His last attempt was 1 day. My career before this was in the food industry, which means crappy pay, long hours, and very sore feet. I got a job that pays 95% of the bills. The rest is covered by savings. Yeah, I'd rather be working for myself, but I like it. I'm good at it. It's the first time I actually enjoy going to work. For the last few months, I've been slowly changing, and it feels like my husband and I are drifting apart. At first, I thought it was a natural phase. Things will definitely feel different compared to working under the same roof all day and night. Now, I don't know. From the previous thread. He says, if you want those things, then make them happen, which, fair enough. I completely agree. I don't want to rely on him to provide the life I want. However, it leaves me feeling a combination of emotions I can't really put a word to. I find myself going through mental exercises of what would I do in this situation if I were single? How would I support myself? And I start to feel resentful. I'm not single. I'm married. And not only that, I'm not sure I can make enough money to support us. I am making enough money to support us, and it feels good. It's given me confidence in a way I haven't had before, but it's also made something glaringly obvious in our relationship. We disagree on just about everything, and we have very little in common. Ooh. How do you get married and live together for years and years and years, probably date for years too? You never realize that you have very little in common and that you actually disagree on everything. I feel like maybe you jumped into this relationship way too quick. You kind of always felt that you didn't want to go down that path of really getting to know the other person, because then you would realize you're not actually as compatible as you thought you were. And maybe you were both lonely and seeking someone else. Your partner was the first person you found, so that's why you ended up together. That's interesting. I'm happy to work on my writing on the side while I work. He thinks I've given up on our dream and I've settled for a world, the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday world, he loathes to spend time in. He sold his business and is still figuring out what he wants to do next. I want to buy a flat in the city. He wants to move to the country or use our savings to travel or live remotely. I want to settle for a while and make friends. He thinks there's plenty of time for that in the future. I want to make our home cozy and put up decorations like photos and artwork. While he likes it, he thinks of it all as just pointless stuff we shouldn't waste money on. I could go on, but you get it. It feels like literally everything I like, he hates. I've also realized that most of the moves, most of the big decisions were things I went along with. I'm not saying he bullied me or anything, just that I didn't feel too strongly one way or the other, so tended to go with what he wanted. Of course, we talked about it, but it rarely was me pulling in the bulk of the income, so I didn't feel like I had much of a say. The thing about that is when you're in a relationship, whether you're like dating and you're living together or you're married, it doesn't really matter. It matters, but not like as much as she's putting on the importance of who brings in the money, because when you're together, you're a team and it's a partnership. So just because you're not the one that earns the money, technically speaking, you still provide a lot of other value in the relationship. So any decision should be made, 50-50 with both of your approval. So I don't think you should feel like you have less of a say just because you didn't earn the money. I think that's the wrong way to think about it. Now I feel strongly about a life direction and have the ability to make it happen, and I feel guilty. He says I've changed, that he's the same as he's been, wants the same things he's always wanted. This is me altering the situation, which I agree with. But it's not like it's this massive bait and switch plan. Our entire marriage, I've talked about settling down. I'm rambling. Here's the way I see it. We both love each other and genuinely want to make the other happy, which is why over 10 years we've both compromised on choices that go against what we individually want. He goes to work for a little while so I can have a semi-stable home. I bounce around the world with him so he can discover himself and his career, but our tolerance for those periods have become too short to manage. He physically can't work for another person. He physically can't or he won't, because there's a difference. Can't is like it's out of his control. Won't is just he does not want to. So I don't understand the situation, but it kind of sounds like just an excuse not to work for someone else. And there really is nothing wrong with that. I think being self-employed is amazing. But if it's between being employed and working for someone else and not having a job and income, obviously you have to go for the one that provides an income, especially when you have a family. I want to scream when I think about packing up my stuff and starting over again. Have we just spent so much of our marriage being distracted by the exciting newness of moving and pushing for financial independence we didn't notice how little we have in common otherwise? I can't help but feel like this is on me. Not my fault per se, but on my shoulders. I'm the one rocking the status quo, and if I want things to balance out, it's up to me to adjust my expectations. TLDR, things in my marriage have shifted drastically since I started working again. For years, my husband said that if I want stability in our life, I have to make it happen. I did, and now things are worse than ever. Let's read some of the comments before we get to the update. Someone commented, these seem like fundamental incompatibilities. Yeah, I agree. He wants to keep on moving around, traveling and everything, but you want to settle down, meet friends, and get into a routine. Those are two polar opposites. OP replied, they really do, don't they? Someone replied to OP, they do love. This is really unconventional way to look at it, but if you met your husband now as a new relationship, would you be excited about the guy, interested? Would he make you laugh and make your coffee just the way you like it? I'm not saying we all should hold our partners to the standards of the honeymoon stage of a relationship, but we should be in a relationship where we at least are attracted to each other and have basic values and preferences that are compatible. OP replied, I've often posed your question to myself. Would we get together now as a new relationship? I think I'd still adore his passions and perspectives on life. They're intoxicating. He's a sweet guy, always looking out for me and remembering little things I like. He has a habit of giving me a kiss when he leaves the room, even if he's just going away for a half hour. Obviously, I could go on. I really think we need to go talk to someone professionally. Thank you for reading. Someone replied, I remember reading your original post, and I'm happy that you've been able to find some financial stability for yourself. Your husband can work for other people. He didn't lose his limbs in the war. He just doesn't want to. That's a very important distinction for the next point I'll be making. Your husband is content to constantly move around, live off savings, and never settle in one place. While neither of you are old, you are getting to an age where settling down and having friends and roots is important because as you age, those things will get harder to do. I'm not saying people don't make friends in the later part of their life, but rather that most people have established friend groups at your age. So my husband and I also work in the service industry. We make a living wage, but definitely nothing to write home about. Both of us would like to start our own business, but while we work on that, and likely for the foreseeable future, we will work these jobs. Even when our business is running, we will need to continue to serve, because most small businesses are simply not sustainable at first. Even in the long run, we will most likely not profit enough to solely to be self-employed. That is a hard fact, but it is the truth and one that we can live with. Neither of us want to be servers. It's not our dream, but making money is a necessity. My point to all of this being that plenty of people work jobs that they do not enjoy and would rather not, but that doesn't mitigate the reality that money must be made and must continuously flow into the home by any means necessary. I think you should take a good hard look at your marriage. It seems that the two of you are deeply incompatible and would both be happier with a partner who had the same life goals. If anyone has been bait and switched, it's you by your husband who enabled you to believe that settling down was the ultimate goal of all the moves and schemes. I hope you find the answer that you're looking for and wish you a lot of happiness with whatever you choose. Yeah, so it really sounds like OP and her husband are just completely incompatible. Like maybe in the beginning of their relationship, they were compatible, they were moving around, they're enjoying life, seeing new things, experiencing new things. But now as they've aged, OP's husband still wants to travel around and still wants to do all that, but she clearly doesn't. She wants to settle down, have friends, get her into a routine, have a home, you know, make it your own safe space. I could really understand that feeling. Not of like traveling around with like a partner or anything, but like of moving around and wanting to stay in one place. Because I have been traveling around a lot for the past years, like a couple months here, a couple months there, going around, whether that's Asia, South America, or North America. I've really gotten like burned out from like traveling so much. Like genuinely, I just want to stay in one place, just be in that place. Like I just want to get into my routine, eat the same things every day, go to the gym every day, at the same time. I just prefer the simpler things. It sounds like I'm really like, I guess, ungrateful or like, oh, I'm so spoiled. But no, I'm just saying like, I guess I've experienced traveling around and stuff that I now realize that I've had enough and I don't need any more. I just want to stay in my place, in my home where it's nice and comfortable and just have my routine, have my friends, my routine, the gym I go to, my hobbies, and then that's it. That's what I'm content with. Let's read the update. 7 years later, holy, oh man. Okay, 7 years later, that's crazy. I was recently cleaning out my bookmarks and found this old throwaway and obviously the 2 posts I made with it. I'm not sure why now, but I feel compelled to write a follow-up. Maybe it'll give people the bravery to change or at least an example of how sticking with what you know isn't always the best choice. And obviously, very long story short, with the help of those posts and a lot of long nights of thinking, I left my husband. It's pretty sad, but I think fundamentally you guys were incompatible, so this was the best choice long term. In fact, it took him going away for a long weekend to realize how much happier and at peace I felt without him around. At first, the split was amicable, but looking back, I think he was just waiting for me to come rushing back to him once I realized my mistake. When that didn't happen and he could see I was actually serious about building a new life for myself, a switch flipped. We only spoke when he needed something from me, and eventually that stopped too. Enough about him. I'm now 42, happier and healthier and more satisfied than I've been my whole life. I picked me, and that was the best choice I could have ever made. I lived alone for the first time, and my God, the peace of having my own space, unrivaled. I ended up staying in that apartment for 5 years, not a moving box in sight. I put art on the walls, I knew my neighbors, I made a home, I grew my career, and went back to school. Made friends, built a little community. That really sounds beautiful. That sounds so nice. I've done a lot of therapy and realized that the abusive patterns my parents created in childhood were just repeating with my ex. I fell in love, a real love, a supportive love that encourages growth and security. I'm doing new work, work that helps people and is so much more than just chasing money. All of those things have created a life that's more rewarding than I ever thought possible for myself. I've gone through some really shitty times too, illness, cancer scares, deaths, loss, and I have no idea how I would have come out the other side without the community I'd built around me. Even something as simple as people at your local coffee shop recognizing you is a comfort after feeling adrift and alone for so long. Anyway, if I were to respond to myself from 7 years ago, this is what I would say. Leave that loser. He doesn't care about you, never did. He only cares about what you can do for him. And now that you aren't serving him, well, just go. You are capable of doing difficult things and you are worthy of the work it takes to accomplish them. Trust your abilities, trust your gut. It's been screaming at you for years now, honey. Life can be so much more than you've experienced, but you have to make it happen for yourself. TLDR, left my husband, happier than ever. Edit, I'm surprised but happy this found so many people. I genuinely thought I was going to bookend the story and have it disappear into the ether, but whatever the urge, I had to write it, and whatever brought you to reading it, who knows? Maybe it was meant to. Thank you for all the messages and comments. I felt so grateful to have this perspective and experience. I think that ended on a very good note. Like that was a good ending. Low-key fairy tale ending, but I guess not exactly. I'm glad that she realized that relationship wasn't good for her and she was being used by her then husband, I guess her ex-husband now. So I'm glad she got out of that relationship and found a more fulfilling path in life. Good story. Story number 2. My 43 female, husband 46 male came out as polyamorous. He came out as polyamorous. I'm not gonna lie, every time I've seen a story where people become or realize they're polyamorous, there's usually someone else in the picture that they want to sleep with, but they don't want to feel guilty about it and they don't want to leave their partner. So they say, oh, we should open up the relationship, become polyamorous because they want to sleep with that person. And honestly, they probably were already sleeping with them before, but now they want to do it more openly without the need to hide and stuff. Yeah, let's read it. Me, 43 female, and my husband, 46 male, have been married 15 years and have 2 school-aged kids. We've had ups and downs like anyone, but I've always been committed and loyal. I genuinely thought we were doing okay. A little while ago, he came out to me that he's polyamorous. Get the fuck out of here. He said he's always felt that way and that monogamy has always been hard for him. That just means he's a cheater, bro. What the fuck? Oh, it's been so hard for me not sleeping with other women. Why are you married then? No one told you to get married to a monogamous person. Go join one of those poly cults or something, bro. Get out of here. He described it like being a boiled, holy shit. Let's see how he described it. Like being a boiled kettle with no release valve. He just sounds like he's a sex addict, I'm not gonna lie. Like he's going to explode if he can't love multiple people and experience multiple relationships. I was completely blindsided, but I love this man and our family with my whole heart. I don't want to suppress him or be the reason he's unhappy, so even though this was totally foreign for me, I said I'd be open to learning about it and considering it. He said it wouldn't be one-sided and that I should be free to explore too. Just a couple later, he tells me he's already found someone considering a date with him. It's a divorced woman from our neighborhood, 11 years younger than him, who he chats with at the school bus stop. Yeah, he definitely was talking to her before that. I could bet on that. I hadn't even processed the idea of poly yet, hadn't read a single book, and suddenly there's a date lined up. I felt blindsided all over again. Yeah, because he's lying to you and blindsiding you. It's super clear as day, but maybe after like 15 years of marriage, it's hard to understand how your partner could be capable of that. I said it was ultimately up to him and I tried to express that I needed time and suggested some basic boundaries while I adjusted. He got frustrated and said if he's going to do this, he can't have boundaries because he needs to be able to explore freely. Leave this man. At the same time, whenever I tried to even talk to someone or meet for coffee, he'd get visibly upset and say I wasn't communicating properly. Yeah, that's typical, bro. Typical. He'd act like he was on the verge of a breakdown, so I stopped pursuing anything because his mental well-being felt more important to me. Bro, this guy does not care about you. He does not care about you. Meanwhile, he continued talking to the neighbor. She would ignore me in public. He kept saying nothing is happening and that he didn't know what she wanted. Eventually, it came out that she cared about him but had issues with him being married. That felt like a huge red flag to me. It started to feel like my existence was the obstacle to their progress. Yeah, that is exactly what it looks like. I felt like for them to get what they both wanted would be at the cost of my marriage. I would not be surprised if your husband has already cheated before in your 15 years of marriage, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes he'd acknowledge my concerns. More often he would defend her and dismiss mine. Eventually, I said I wasn't comfortable with that specific relationship continuing. He agreed and said they delete each other's numbers and stop talking. But then I started noticing weird behavior at the bus stop. He'd take longer to come home. He wouldn't leave until she left. I spiraled and eventually checked his phone. They were still texting him. Who would have guessed? Who? Who has a magic crystal ball, bro? Come on, dude. He had her notifications silenced and regularly deleted messages. Anytime I asked, he denied they were talking. Cheaters love to lie. And I know it's technically poly, but cheaters love to lie and they can't help themselves. Once it became regular again and I decided to confront him, he said he hid it because he didn't know how I'd react and was worried I'd do something reckless and hurt her. He was more upset that I looked at his phone than that he lied. He's told me multiple times to get a grip. Yeah, I would crash out. Get a grip. We're fighting. Right there. Just kidding. We're not fighting. And that my reactions are why people are afraid to be themselves. Dude, this is like such manipulation. I'm not like an expert on all the manipulation terms, but I could see that shit. If I see that shit, I know, bro. That's insane. He's very manipulative. Now I feel like a shell of a person. I can barely get out of bed. The only reason I function at all is because of our kids and because my income supports most of the household. I do most of the cooking and cleaning, but I can't keep up. Our finances are spiraling because I can't stay on top of anything. My mental and physical health have taken a toll. Yeah, your husband is just a leech. He's just using you for financial stability and everything while he wants to go out and have sex with other people, while you take all the mental burden of it. And he just like goes out, has fun. And if you try to show interest in anyone else, go on a date, not allowed, not allowed, only him. One-sided. I feel like my entire life is disintegrating and somehow it's my fault. Like if I could just be more open, less hurt, less reactive, everything would be fine. How do I stop spiraling and regain control of my life and my marriage? TLDR, husband wants Polly, already had someone lined up, lied about cutting her off, gets mad if I date, tells me to get a grip. I'm barely functioning. Leave him, leave him. Even one of those reasons are enough to leave him. All those reasons together, leave him, leave him, leave him, leave him. All the comments better be just leave. Let's read the comments. First comment, you can't come out as poly. Poly is a relationship type, not an orientation. People who say otherwise are trying to force you into relationship types without your consent. If you ask the poly subreddit, it's the first thing they'll tell you. It's called poly bombing. Well, I didn't know that, but now I do. Yep, I've been polyam for 17 years now. I wouldn't touch the guy with a 10-foot pole. He's exhibiting all the red flags of a man who just wants to get with a new woman and frames it as poly. Even if he had the best interest in being poly for years and years, big if, he still needs to take the topic slowly and respect your boundaries. If he doesn't give a shit about his long-term partner's feelings, he isn't going to give a shit about any other partner's feelings in the future. I'm also willing to bet if Opie ever dated anyone seriously and was even a tiny bit physical with someone else, her husband is going to have a massive meltdown and she's going to end up doing a ton of emotional labor caring for him. Husband is a piece of shit. Opie deserves so much better. I'm so sorry. That's incredibly painful and unfair. Opie replied, that's basically already happened when I brought up the fact that I was potentially open to kissing someone I had been seeing. He fell apart pretty badly. He said he was breaking down and would probably have to take extended time off work for mental health. And it would always be an issue with my communication. God, he's manipulative. If he doesn't want a poly relationship, he wants to cheat with impunity. Sounds like he's made that pretty clear. You're his safety net. I hate suggesting just move on with married people, but from what it sounds like, your marriage is already over. Worried I'd do something reckless and hurt her. This should make it obvious. Either he's lying to you so he can keep seeing her, or he cares about her more than you because he's trying to protect her. Regardless of his actions though, it destroys your mental health, and he's made it clear this is what he's going to do with or without your blessing. I'm glad everyone in the comments agrees. This guy just wants to sleep with other people without the guilt and without losing you and having you as a safety net, having you pay for everything, cook, clean, take care of the kids, do everything, while he just goes out, enjoys a bunch of relationships, sleeps with women, and does all this stuff. Meanwhile, you have to do all the work, go to work, do everything. And if you want to get into a relationship with someone else, then he shuts down. Oh, I can't go to work. I can't do anything, but I'm going to go see my third girlfriend at 2 p.m. and my fifth one at 6 p.m. Like, get out of here. Break up with this guy. Terrible guy. Fuck this guy, bro. Next, my 30 male girlfriend, 26 female, slept with her boss to get a promotion, but now regrets it. We're in a 1-year relationship and we work in the same industry, different companies. She said at the start of our relationship, while I was out of town, she had a company outing. Her then boss at the time invited folks over to his place. She ended up being the last one to leave and ended up making out with her boss. She said they cuddled topless and talked on the couch for a while, but then went home later that night with nothing else escalating. Mind you, her boss was never aware that she was in a relationship. I asked her why she would do such a thing, and her justification was that she didn't mean to cheat or see him romantically, but felt that if she didn't please him somehow, she might not progress in the company or get promotions. The next morning, she said she regretted justifying herself in that way and that she was only trying to be strategic in the moment. I told her I needed some time to process all of this, but she's been texting me every day saying how much she loves me and that she regrets her actions and wants us to stay together forever. Honestly, they probably slept together. I'm not trying to like say that definitely happened, but come on, bro. You made out with your boss and then you cuddled topless for a couple hours, but you didn't have sex. Like, she most likely had sex with him and she's just trying to hide that part. But even if she didn't, everything she did is still cheating and still bad. And that's more than enough reason to end the relationship. You cannot trust someone after they do something like this. You can't compromise your values just for some material gain, like a promotion. You compromising love, a relationship, a future with someone for that is someone with weak morals, a weak character, and weak values. And that's someone you don't want to be with long term anyway. especially not forever. I get that she needs support from me after this story, but also it's time to end the relationship ASAP. Is it not? Yes. Yes, it is. TLDR, girlfriend slept with her boss without telling me, but she regrets it and wants to stay together with me. If it's still her current boss, do you think that's never gonna happen again? And even if it never happens again, do you think mentally you'll be able to be okay and be like stable enough knowing that her boss is someone she slept with? I don't think so. And I don't think that's something you want to go through every single day, every time she goes to work, thinking, do they have some sort of secret relationship? That's going to make you go crazy and make you paranoid and probably make you like maybe stalk her, check her phone, go to her work, see what she's doing. It's not worth it. Just end it and go find someone else that you can actually trust. Someone that chooses you, prioritizes you, and has the same values as you. That's what you need. Let's read some of the comments. So she's a cheater and has no integrity. I think it's a very easy decision of what to do here. Exactly. Yeah, everyone's focused on the cheating, but the maybe I can sleep my way to the top is just bad, if not worse. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like her character, her morals, bad. You don't want to be with someone that thinks that they can get to the top by compromising themselves and their morals and just like sleeping their way to the top. You don't want to be with someone like that. You can't be. How is that just as bad from OP's perspective as being cheated on? They mean the sleeping to the top is just as bad, if not worse, than cheating thing for her character. Because it's something that would still be worth breaking up over, even if it happened before they got together. That's true. If I ever got into a relationship and I found out that in the past, my partner slept with someone or slept with people to get certain things, either a promotion or something else, I would not be with them for very much longer. I would end things with them. You don't want to be with someone that's able to do that, because who's to say they wouldn't do that in the future? Even if at the time they were single or something. Sticky Marmalade commented, she said they cuddled topless. That's a classic half-truth, LOL. Do you really think two consenting adults started making out, taking clothes off, and then just actually, nah, that's good enough. They had sex. Yeah, that's what I said. Someone commented, huh, so those are your boobs. Anyway, Jeff in accounts has really been putting in low effort at work. Bruh. I've enjoyed seeing your nipples. That is enough entertainment for me tonight, thanks. I hate being titillated. Angela Martin. Bro, what? Yeah, they had sex. No scenario where the flirty boss gets her top off and then stops to chat instead. That's what I said. I'm glad to see people in the comments are agreeing. Charismatic tick tick commented, so she cares more about the progression of her career than she cares about being a decent human being. Is that someone you want to be with? Also, she kept this from you for a really long time. There are multiple betrayals here. It's not worth staying with her. Yeah, that's really someone I would personally not be with, and I don't think anyone should be with, because it just gives like such like cheater vibes that you were okay with sleeping someone to get higher up in the company or a position. Yeah, I think the right choice here for OP would just be to leave her. I mean, you're still young, you're only 30, that's like the prime of your life. I'm sure you could find a girlfriend, someone that will be loyal, have similar values to what you're looking for, and then maybe just be more selective and don't jump into the first relationship that comes your way. Feel it out, get to know the person before committing anything. Hope you guys liked this video. If you want to see more from the r/relationships, let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.